You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Meant something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go start season to go and you know those crystal truth. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Start season to go and you know those crystal children. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Today on this live podcast, myself, Marcus Christolight, and Sandra wanted to go over some very sacred text and what really could be in a level of scripture when it comes to the type of knowledge and wisdom that can be acquired through this book that we're going to be going through, which is also a channeling and channel message from multiple beings as well. And it's called The Raw Material, The Law of One.
He touches on the metaphors of harvesting and frequencies that allow souls to graduate into higher planes of existence.
Multiple layers, there's different bodies, so to say, quote unquote. And these different bodies occupy different dimensions or different energetic properties of our multidimensional self.
39, he says, we offer them no concrete proof as they have a way of expressing it. We offer them the truth. This is an important function of our message, to offer truth without proof. In this way, the motivation will, in each and every case, come from within the individual. Welcome. Welcome to Ascending Beyond Limitations. Did you hear that title? Ascending Beyond Limitations. When we come in, we're a little bit veiled into this world through the birthing process. Our higher beings know exactly what they come here to do, that they come here to play and dabble in the dualistic aspects of polarity, with all kinds of questions, wanting to feel all kinds of things. And they knew they were taking a chance that they would be a little veiled, that their higher selves would be a little veiled, that their I am self would be a little veiled and a little separate for only a short time from the divine that created the whole story, the whole aspect of energy, the whole aspect of seeking itself as an individual expression of a higher being with a form body, with a conscious mind, or in this case, not just conscious mind, but an aware mind, to play in duality. Now here we come, making play work. no right or wrong to it as far as the divine is concerned, because the right and wrong is our GPS. The good and bad is our GPS. It gives us an opportunity to take our ego and our higher self to a place of play. So I've got something for you. I'm going to read just a little bit from Act of Consciousness. It's the chapter that talks about walk like a master. Energy responds to the act of consciousness. This means that energy literally aligns itself to your consciousness. It says, most people aren't conscious, and the divine wants me to interject the word aware, because all people are conscious that they're living. They're conscious that they're living. They're not aware that they have a higher being that wants to take part in the living, but that's okay. They don't have to be aware of it. So it says, most people aren't aware of their consciousness. They might be aware of their the fact that they're conscious that they have thoughts, but they think that they're thoughts. They think that they are the thoughts. We are a higher being with a human body, with a conscious mind or an aware mind, and depending on how you say it, how you feel you are. And thoughts move in the quantum field. We get to choose what thoughts we take in as we bump up against the quantum field. It says, you are a sensory being. You have sensory intelligence. You were born that way. So when you're deep diving into the unknown, and you hear us talk about, deep dive into the known, unknown, make it known, it's the unknown of you, not somewhere out there in the great vast universe. I know you've been told that we need to find out more about what's going on out there, how it was created, how it works. We're listening to our scientists want to break everything down to you. And it makes you confused. It makes your head fucking hurt trying to figure that out. All Ra is saying, start with you. Go inward. There's 6 at that time that they channeled these books, these many books, these 5 books. They had achieved 6 density collection or ascension. They became a collective. Now they're the true word of collective. When we talk about we're the collective, and I'm reading for the collective, they actually, that whole planet, yes, you get it, shifted, became more. And then they said, hey, we miss you, dear Father, dear Creator, but we got to go back as a collective, and we got to help Earth. She's calling us. It came when she called, and they stayed, even though we weren't ready 12,000 years ago, even though we weren't ready. We are masters. Everything that's ever been channeled in any book is telling us that we are masters of energy. And now we're learning new ways to access energy so that we can create from it. Energy is attracted to us because we are energy wrapped in these beautiful human suits with this glorious processor called a brain, and our mind in every cell of our body. Imagine that. Our mind is in every cell of our body, and it's constantly cellular regenerating continuously, even more at night when we sleep. So we're here to deep dive into ourselves. We're here to take what resonates for us from Ra, because we don't have to believe every single thing. But what tingles in your root chakra? What tingles in your sacral? What tingles in your solar plexus? What tingles in your heart chakra, your throat chakra, your third eye chakra? What tingles in your crown? That's what you take and let resonate with you. Anything else that is just words that makes you want to debate it, leave it in the room. Only take what resonates. I guarantee you, if you leave that room untouched by debate or arguments or discord or dislike, somebody else is going to pick that up and say, ooh, that's for me. So when you're deep diving into yourself, give yourself grace. You were born with grace. You were born so that you could shift, so that you could learn and teach and learn, so you can change and evolve, and then wash, rinse, and repeat. Do it all again. Sit down and ask your higher being, do you want to do this all in one fell shot? Is it for me to experience everything that you are wanting? Let me know. Your higher being, your higher self, the I am self, wants to have a conversation with you. Are you ready now? Are you ready to allow Ra to rub up against the quantum field with you? I'm ready. Are you ready, Marcus?
Boy, oh boy. Grand day, everybody. And I just want to say, I'm just so grateful. I am pouring with love. And I am just so beyond words of this incredible journey that we have been on in Ascending Beyond Limitations, going all the way back to the last week of May of last year, in correspondence to the time that my father had went to the hospital for a brain hemorrhage and near-death experience. And then our second episode carrying on my birthday. And then the third episode being on Sandee's birthday. I mean, wow, what a beautiful start to this journey we had. And then going all throughout this series, exploring the different characters from Yeshua to Adolf Hitler, listening to channelings from Bashar, as well as a few others. You know, we've really had some beautiful memories and moments and experiences here. And again, I'm just so grateful and could not ask for a better co-host or a better channel from Ra. And I want to give gratitude as well to the wonderful beings that channeled Ra and was the wonderful team that put this all together to help this be possible today. And lastly, for my gratitude, I also want to give gratitude to each and every one of our guests and wonderful viewers that have tuned in and tapped in throughout this series, sharing in the comments, receiving, expressing. Thank you all for being here and being a part of this beautiful journey that was very much a calling and channel. Never really fully planned or structured ever from the get-go, but here we are, consistent, episode 50, going on about 10 months now of this beautiful space. So before we begin and dive into our study for today with Ra, I wanted to kind of open us up a little bit with a little bit of a gift of my wonderful skills that I offer, and I'm gonna play a little bit of the drum, guide us through a little bit of breath work, and just help us be able to ground, center, clear out any stagnation, clear out any distortions or attachments that may be lingering right now in this moment, so that we can just let go, be free in this energy, and allow Ra to channel through us in the clearest, most beautiful, and most potent ways of love. So if you may, feel free to get comfortable if you would like to receive. You can sit or lay down for this practice. It'll be just a couple minutes. And of course, you can stand where you are, or if you're busy doing something, you can listen with your headphones or listen over the speaker, and you'll still be able to catch the frequencies of this meditation. So with that being said, go ahead and get cozy. Consider lay down. And then as we always do, just do a brief check-in with your posture, making sure you have your spine as straight as you can. Of course, not forcing any physical ailments upon yourself. And then relaxing the shoulders down to the side. Relaxing our hands. Relaxing the muscles in our legs. And having our toes nice and flat on the ground. Then lastly, checking in with our jaw, making sure we're not clenching our teeth, holding any tension in that area. So now we're going to focus on the breath, deeply breathing in through the nose, drawing the breath down the body to the earth, and then exhaling out of the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, drawing the breath all the way down the chakras, down the body to the earth until it anchors, and then exhaling out of the mouth. Continue to focus on this breath pattern throughout the guidance. This breath will bring you deeper into your layers. It'll also help you clear, release, and soothe through your layers. Continuing to breathe deeply, breathing in pure golden and white lights. With your breath, feeling these energies flow in through your nose, stimulate, recharge, and repair your being with all that it flows through and touches. Continuing to breathe this golden white light with every breath. Imaya nuko ataya naya inishinato amateya no se nea maya koteya inea te se mutana ea yoshona kime anato ataya na te ado iana te ote shimaru akire wa naite anato Simeata shuneaka ute matiki anato Diamato Yashinate Daku Dianate Shenatatusa Narekina Ururaria. May we claim our power as the ancestors of the now. We are healing and clearing the traumas and patterns of our past ancestral lineages, so they may be free in their spirit and their energy, so that we may clear our DNA and our chains within. We are setting up the futures of the generations to be in a unified, loving, and supportive environment. May we continue to be the example of the ancestors of the future that we wish to be remembered as, planting the seeds for the future, for the children and the children's children, to have the trailblazed ways of how to be conscious, be empowered, be in unified consciousness while walking in this earth journey. We give thanks for the past. We give thanks for the contrast. We give thanks for opportunity, change, and infinity, as this is who we are. May it be, and so it is. Ashe.
Ashe. Keo so loku ate na tua ne he. He no na here ne ki go le me. He na ko ne se ne. Shulaku uta ate e tus. Ta ache chi tu shi ku ate. In makuate na here se na ha le me ki uta imeta. De sha mbaka le me ki do na shi. Shiloku u tashena takina maha. E tona shiena. Shiloku otai im. Na makwada yes and no tagiana hola. Ena naku anakia nakudaka ia no lamiki and oceana tai. The veil is yours to lift. The layers are yours to work through. We are always with you. You are never alone. You have never been alone. There are so many that look over and watch over and look into you. But yet, never go beyond your free will. But all you have to do is ask us. And we are there. We have never left you. You show us how to cry and how to laugh. You show us how to be. We are part of you and you are part of us. There is no separation. Only if you see it, we allow it. We are rooted where you are rooted. We support your growth, however you choose to grow. Whatever steps you take, we take them with you. Yes, Lord. Wow. Let it be so. So it is. Ashe.
Ooh-wee. Wow. Put away. Flow. That being said, how was that for everybody in the comments? Feel free to give your feedback on how you feel from that wonderful, magic, collaborative space of ours. And before we dive into our study for our 50th anniversary episode, I'm going to give us a nice little rewind to last week so that we can explore and remember where we are picking up at from episode 49.
Start season to go in you, yo, those crystal children. Back up in the making, off on the mission.
That's why we're here in third density. That's why we've got every option available. That's why Ross says, we've been there, we've done it. We know what it's like to be a collective, right? But here's what the divine wanted me to share. It says, sometimes you are so critical of yourself, so hard on yourself. Sometimes you say things that aren't right, and you think and feel them in your bones. You bring these things to life. You bring these things to life, believing they represent who you are.
Governs your circadian rhythm, your biological clocks and cycles, your hormones and chemical regulation due to the pineal and pituitary glands being connected to many of your vital. Your abundance is still blocked, it feels like. And then she said that was very helpful of you in that last segment. Okay, Leanne. Well, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and navigate us into the root chakra because our
So we're going to pick up.
So you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we were, episode 49. And here we are now. Off to Sandee.
Here we go. Let it shine. Let the energy rise. Here we go, here we go, here we go. So the divine, while Marcus was sharing that energy intention, he said something about layers. Now I understand why the divine allowed me to shift to the masters of new energy. It's called facets and layers. The master explores facets of energy. You're the master. Let's begin by talking about a very inanimate object such as a rock or a stone. It has many facets, many layers of energy. The focus of human consciousness would be on the rock itself, that it is hard, that it comes from the earth, that it is not living. But the master, that's you, understands that there is much, much more to this rock. The rock has consciousness. It doesn't necessarily have a soul or a spirit like you, but it is conscious and aware of itself as a rock. That's why it has a particular size, a particular shape, a certain amount of density. It has its own awareness of itself. Now, if that rock was smashed into two, it would still have the awareness of itself from when it was whole, but now also as two separate pieces. It still knows its wholeness. So even if you are veiled, as many people tell you, and you have to have an awakening, You don't have to do anything because you're still wholeness, as far as the divine sees you, as far as the one true creator, as Ra calls it, sees you, sees through you, in you, and as you. When someone tells you you're lost, you're not really lost. You're lost in their perspective, but you're not really lost. Like Ross says, we've always been there. We will always be there. You may not be aware of it, but you aren't lost to us. You're just a little bit veiled, starting to recall. You're like the rock. If somebody splits you in two, you're still consciousness. There are layers and layers to you. Deep dives show you that. Deep dives into it are very uncomfortable. I just did a reel. Go check it out. To authentically know yourself, that's where you start. You may see a ton of platforms that are yelling at you to do this and do that. Your awakening requires this, and your awakening requires that. And this is the matrix, and this is the illusion, and you need to fight to get out. When sometimes it's just simple going into yourself to find out who you are and what you truly want, need, and desire for you. You came here for the story. Now, it's true, if you want to settle for allowing somebody else to tell you how they perceive you and what they believe you should do, the free will choice is you can do that. Now I understand why I did that reel this morning. You are wholeness no matter how split you believe you are. No matter how many times a person tells you you're broken. No many times how somebody tells you you can't do it. Wala ko ate so sakayana. Teo song toka se solo ku ushi na kiana. Your wholeness no matter what. You were born sovereign. No one can usurp your ability to live your life. No one. Not governments, not schools, not professors, not your parents. Your parents are custodians, yes, to keep you safe while you begin learning what your authenticity is, yes. And yes, your parents can get it wrong. Why? Because they're living a life too. Their higher beings are figuring out what it's like to be in a human vessel with a conscious or conscious mind raising children. But you're still sovereign. The divine made sure nothing could interfere with your learn, teach, learn, and your growth and expansion and your shifting and your evolution. There are going to be so many people that give you their expectation or their intentions of what they believe your life should be. And when that happens, just take 5 deep breaths. Marcus already showed you how to breathe. Take 5 deep breaths and sit with yourself. As uncomfortable as it may be, ask your higher being, the I am in you, the I am that I am in you, about what you were called here, what you came here to do. What did it come here to do? What did it come here to see? Did it already see it, feel it? And does it just want you to explain what the feeling is that you have or the emotion that you have? And then does it want to let go and surrender that so it can move on to another journey? It all starts with you. So are we ready? The questioner says, I am sort of hunting around here for an entry into some information. I may not be looking in a productive area. You had stated that as we, and put in comma, Ra, because he's a third density complex, they, had been aided by shapes such as the pyramids, so we could aid your people. That's what Ra had said. So he's repeating what Ra had told him in previous books. Ra has repeated this several times, book 2 and book 1. The questioner says, these shapes have been mentioned many, many times, and you have also stated that the shapes themselves aren't of too much consequence. I see a relation between these shapes and the energy that we have been studying with respect to the body. And I would like to ask a few questions on the pyramids to see if we might get an entry into some of this understanding. So in book 1, the pyramids at 12,000 years, when Ra walked the earth and spoke to the culture, sharing the information that they believed they were ready for, the pyramids were part of healing, vibrational healing, part of wisdom and understanding, and it was misused. And they who called Ra had to leave because it was not ready, or they were not ready, and they distorted all the word for the negative polarity. So the questioner says, I see a relation between these shapes and the energy that we have been studying with respect to the body. And I would like to ask a few questions on the pyramids to see if we might get an entry into some of this understanding. The questioner goes on to say, you stated we will find the intersection of the triangle, which is at the first level on each of the 4 sides, forms a I'm sorry, I'm excited. I'm going to slow my roll. A diamond in a plane which is horizontal. Can you tell me what you meant by the words intersection? I am Ra. Your mathematics and arithmetic have a posse of configurative descriptions which we might use. Without intending to be obscure, we may note that the purpose of the shapes is to work with time/space portions of the mind/body/spirit complex. That's us. Ra's 6 density complex. Ra goes on to say, therefore, hold on, make sure my pages aren't sticking. Therefore, the intersection in both space-time and time-space oriented and thus is expressed in these 3-dimensional geometries by 2 intersections, which, when projected in both time-space and space-time, form 1 point. Some people are in space, some people are in time, some people are in time, and some people are in space. But they correlate to 1 point. The questioner says, I have calculated this point to be 1/6 of the height of the triangle that forms the side of the pyramid. Is this correct? Ra says, I am Ra. Your calculations are substantially correct, and we are pleased at your percipacity. I love how sometimes the words just come out and then I have to go back and pronunciate them. The questioner says, this would indicate to me that in the Great Pyramid at Giza, the Queen's Chamber, as it was called, would be the chamber used for initiation. Is this correct? Ra says, I am Ra. Again, you penetrate the outer teaching. The Queen's Chamber would not be appropriate or useful for healing work, as the work involves the use of energy in a more synergetic configuration, rather than the configuration of the centered being. The questioner says, then would the healing work be done in the King's Chamber? I am Ra. That is correct. We may note that such terminology is not our own. Queen's Chamber, King's Chamber. Those aren't the divine's terminology. But the Ra says, close enough. The questioner says, yes, I understand that. It is just that it is the common naming of the two chambers of the Great Pyramid. I don't know whether this line of questioning is going to take me to a better understanding of the energies, but until I have explored the concept, there is nothing much I can do but ask a few questions. There is a chamber below the bottom level of the pyramid, down below the ground, that appears to be roughly in line with the King's Chamber. What is this chamber? I am Ra. We may say that there is information to be gained from this line of query. The chamber you request to be informed about is a resonant. The divine said, drink some water, Sandra. Living water, nothing like it. All right. I am Ra. May we say that there is information to be gained from this line of query? The chamber you request to be informed about is a resonating chamber. The bottom of such a structure, in order to cause the appropriate distortions for healing catalysts, shall be open. The questioner says, the book, The Life Force of the Great Pyramid, has related the Ankh shape with a resonance in the pyramid. Is this a correct analysis? I am Ra. We have scanned your mind and found the phrase working with crayons. This would be applicable. There is only one significance to these shapes, such as the crux and sata. That is the placing in code form of mathematical relationships. The questioner says, is the 76-inch and 18-inch angle at the apex of the pyramid a critical angle? I am Ra. For the healing work intended, this angle is appropriate. Why does the King's Chamber have the various small chambers above it? I am Ra. This will be the last full query of this working. We must address query more generally in order to explicate your specific question. The positioning of the entity to be healed is such that the life energy, if you will, are in position to be briefly interrupted and or intersected by light. This light then may, take the comma, by the catalyst of the healer with the crystal, manipulate the aura forces, as you may call the various energy centers, in such a way that if the entity to be healed wills it so, oh, I love that, corrections may be or may take place. Then the entity is re-protected by its own, now less distorted energy field, and is available to go its way. That means you got to bring yourself, your embodied self, to your healing. Holy shit. That means you got to take part. That no matter whether it's a pyramid and its energy assisting you with healing, you got to bring yourself. You got to take that healing in. Holy moly, Batman. Okay, there's just a little more. The process by which this is done involves bringing the entity to be healed to an equilibrium. This involves temperature and barometric pressures and electrical charged atmosphere. The first two requirements are controlled by the systems of the chimney. Wow. I'm just meaning, wow. In the first book, Ra had told the questioner that at that time that they were using the pyramids, that's what they were used for healing, for learn, teach, and teach, learn, and for healing. But in it, Ra told the questioner, you are the pyramid now. That's why we were given all these chakras. And you think there are only 7, but you're bumping up against the quantum field that has chakras everywhere. Everywhere. Now, the pyramids look interesting. And if you truly want them to work, they will work. Why? Because you are the energy that will ignite them to work for you. If you want to believe that you are not the pyramid anymore, that you need to believe in the pyramid, you have that energy for the pyramid to say, let it be so. If before you try to use the pyramid, you're trying to figure out how they created the pyramid, right, before you use it, the divine wants me to tell you it was created with intention and energy. They intended for all those bricks and all that mortar to move and be the pyramid. They didn't have to lift it. They didn't have to figure out what tools to use. At that time, they used intention. We wanted a pyramid. They used energy. Let it be so. And there the pyramid was. But now in book 1, you are the pyramid. All your angles that hold your light quotient, you are the pyramid. Back to you, Marcus. Holy moly, Batman.
Yeah. Ooh-wee. Wow. Okay. We are. Oof. Wow. We're just really getting straight to the point. I see. Dang. I swear. I don't know how many times I'm astonished after these passages. Oh man. Woo. I love how it always comes back to the chakras too. Like, I love that. I've never seen so much chakra references in a channeled book before. Like that's so phenomenal. And in case you guys haven't seen it yet, I just so happened to be wearing my chakra shirt for this episode. Pretty cool, unique shirt I got gifted years ago. And got the chakras, color. It's nice. Got trees, the roots. Pretty cool. Just wanted to show you guys that shirt. Maybe inspire you guys to get some activating clothing. But wow. You know, it's so fascinating hearing the reminder of, you know, we can have all these tools, we can have all these looks, we can have all of these images and all these different things. But if we're not, you know, acknowledging ourselves, if we're not acknowledging that, you know, we are the instrument or the conduit for the interactions that we have, or the way that energy interacts with our being, then, you know, we'll only get a certain degree of the experience for ourselves. And of course, you know, experience is experience. But if we're able to really engage, optimize, consciously interact with the experiences that we're having, then that's when you kind of step more into, you know, what's being described as like the alchemist or the conscious co-creator. And when you recognize that, you're no longer being dependent upon a pyramid. You're no longer being dependent upon substances. You're no longer being dependent upon other people's opinions in order for us to feel the validation within ourselves that we have the Christ or God source within us, always. And that we're interacting with other fragments of our own self through different forms and different energetic experiences. And, you know, one thing that I could say is beneficial, at least for myself, with not just acquiring this knowledge, but also embodying and reprogramming myself to remember not to be dependent upon things outside of myself as the validation of my power. And some things I notice is when I don't do that, externalize my power, it can really cut out a lot of, you know, pain, blaming, aiming, placing my own accountability and energy into somebody else's or into an object's hands. But ultimately just remembering that no matter what I'm going through, no matter who I'm interacting with, no matter how up or down the experience is, I still have my free will to be able to make a choice. And that choice can alter where it is that I would like to be and what it is that I would like to experience more of from where I am. And that's such a gift and a blessing that I've found in my life. And when I say no matter where you are, I truly mean that. No matter where you are. No matter if you're in prison, no matter if you're on your deathbed, no matter if you have, you know, you're a doula for somebody that's getting ready to transition, or if you're going through what feels like maybe the end of the world because of what's going on in the political arena. Or you may be around a lot of family that's suffering, but you're not suffering. It's a very fine line, so to say, between conscious detachment but then also escaping. And something that I've noticed difference between that is conscious detachment is kind of more so of when we are consciously aware that we are whole no matter the choice that we make. And not even just ourselves, but everything else as well, including the other parties involved. So I call that conscious detachment. When you're in that awareness and you're making your choices based off of that type of awareness, rather than from a place of people pleasing, caregiving, guilt tripping, gaslighting, things of that nature. And when you do that, you're still in that remembrance and you're still in that energy, even when you take that step back, so to say. You're still in that remembrance that you're still in an energy of wholeness. Even though you kind of took a step back and cut yourself out a little bit of that person's life, it doesn't mean that you're truly separate, like actually apart from each other. It just means you're in different spaces of the arena. You're over there, I'm over here, we're both existing still. We're both connected to source as source, experiencing still. That is what I call conscious detachment. And it's something that has really been sharpened, especially as of late. You know, when things start getting chaotic and things start becoming just non-stop battles, people wanting to non-stop debate. For me, there comes a point where it's like, okay, this is where I use my conscious detachment, because I'm tired of being ping-ponged around by other people's emotions. I'm getting tired of being blamed and shamed for the way that I authentically view things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consciously detach from this space, from these interactions, knowing that I am whole still, they're whole still, and they can do what they want to do in their space. I can do what I want to do in my space, remembering that we are quantum energetic beings. And, you know, when you do the opposite of that, or the contrary, what I've seen for my own self is that it continues to perpetuate suffering. It continues to perpetuate being bipolar. What I mean by bipolar is simply going back and forth from one pole to the other. Back and forth, back and forth. Nervous system getting all ridden, confusion in the mind, clouding our judgment, getting our ego all wound up. And it's tough as a human being, trust me, it's tough to detach, especially when you're a very loving person and you want to be able to help people through their emotions and bring clarity to them. But what I realized is that, and I don't know where this reference came from, but it came from a little while ago through me, is, you know, if you know the oven's hot, you probably shouldn't be sticking your hand in the oven. So don't stick your hand in the oven. And it's amazing the simple things and the common sense that can become scattered when we get, you know, shaken up, or we become very boiled up and very possessive over something, we can really allow this to go out the window. So I just want to give these conscious reminders for anybody out there that this could resonate with. And of course, if it doesn't for you, so be it. But I wanted to give these reminders because we always have that free will. And through that free will, we can choose the perspective, the way that we interact, and the way that we are going to consent and also give our power to these energies of the world. And with that being said, back to you.
Ooh. Truth. A truth. I'm going to say it that way. A truth. You take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Because I just went through something similar to that, where I had to remember, I had to recall. My higher being had to give me a recall that a person that I was having an argument with, and guess what? I allowed myself to go into that area of her playground and argue with her. But at the same time, the choices, the free will choices or the polarities that we have, I got to go, ooh, I don't like that. In mid argument, I don't like the way it's making me feel. It's giving me, I felt like I was going to have heart problems. I felt like I was going to have a massive head explosion. I felt, these are the things that I felt. And it put me on a pause. And then my higher being said, you had to feel that. My higher being said, yeah, because I went to say to my higher being, I thought we had my ego in check. And my higher being said, yeah, but there was experience to have. There was a reason why this person came in to that now moment and rubbed up against my quantum. And I went ahead and took it there. I had to be the one to pull out that particular part of the playground, that quantum playground. I had to feel, ooh, I don't like this. I don't like what was said. I don't like what I felt. I don't like where it was going to take me. Because it was going to take me to a place that I had never been before. Because it was so up close and personal, I wanted to do that. But I had to feel it. It's part of the quantum. It's part of the what Marcus was saying about moving through the polarities, being bipolar in it. I was meant to feel that, to say, where do I want to go with this story, with this person? It doesn't mean I have to walk away from that person, but I have to remember that person is a expression of the divine having a story too. I just have to remember that it's a 45 record, and there's a flip side. There's a B side of that record that has their intention and energy that is creating their story. I needed to go in and ask what that intention is to my higher self, because I'm playing a role for them. Maybe that whole thing wasn't for me. Maybe it was for them. Maybe I had to go there for that. It's part of life. It's called interaction. Yes, we can create all the boundaries we want. But if we create our boundaries and we get stuck in our boundaries and we stop living life while everybody else is living life, then, and the divine says, go ahead, do it. There's no right or wrong. If that's the way you want to express you, then I'm going to express it that way. Whoa. So here we go. Channeled book. The divine says for me to read this. The subchapter is called The Intention and the Experiment. This was based on Earth consciousness being the expression of the divine saying, I want to shift like I shift in form, but I want to use a physical form. And part of the creation of this is intention and experiment, how they created the 5D, Earth consciousness's 5D body, because it all started, at least for me, in 5D. We had to lower ourselves down to 3D, but it was done so well. So it says the consciousness that is known as Earth split one moment, used intent and energy to create her current experience and experiment. The divine says, we would like to point out that the distinction between the higher dimensional consciousness, that is maybe what you might call your soul, that created this experiment or experience, and the planetary body holding that consciousness. It says, we will be referring to the higher dimensional consciousness as Earth. She calls herself she or her. We will be referring to Earth's form as the planet Earth or Earth plane. Earth as the higher dimensional consciousness split from source and was experiencing herself in many different frequencies, forms, and dimensional fields. She decided she wanted to play in a lower dimensional field, so she went down as far as 5D. 5D was the lowest she wanted to go. She did not want to experience polarity. She did not want to experience that. She wanted to remember the whole experiment. She wanted to experience shifting within lower dimensional fields while in a physical form. She wanted to enter into a fifth dimensional form. She called that the Earth plane, with a 5D field and experience shifting into the seventh dimensional field with the same form. The Earth plane would shift frequencies and dimensions, while the Earth as a higher dimensional consciousness would experience that shift within the Earth plane, like getting into your car and driving your car. The car is taking you, the consciousness, where you want to go. This experience had never been done before. If a consciousness wanted to move, and this is the important part that the divine wants to say, if a consciousness wanted to move from one dimensional field to another, it will instantly shift its frequency to enter into and become another dimensional field. The consciousness as an entire energetic body moves from one field to another. Intention plus energy. You have to bring yourself. This is why the Ra is talking about your chakras. You have all that energy in you. You were created to shift and evolve. You were created to shift into consciousnesses. 4D, 5D, 6D, 144D. You were created to do that. The questioner says, does healing work by affecting the energy centers in such a way that they are unblocked as so to perfect the 7 bodies within their let me slow my roll. does this healing work by affecting the energy centers in such a way that they are unblocked so as to perfect the 7 bodies that they generate, and therefore bring the entity to be healed into proper balance. Ross says, the entity tires. We must answer in brief and state simple the entity that they are using to channel. This entity tires. We must answer in brief and state simply that the distorted configuration of the energy centers is intended to be temporarily interrupted. And the opportunity is then presented to the one to be healed to grasp the baton, to take the balanced route and to walk thence with the distortion towards disease of mind, body, and spirit greatly lessened. The catalytic effect of the charged atmosphere and the crystals directed by the healer must be taken into consideration as integral portions of this process. For the bringing back of the entity to configuration of consciousness or conscious awareness would not be accomplished after the reorganization possibility are offered without the healer's presence and direct will. There are many brief queries before we leave this instrument. It's just saying that you can use all the tools that are at the right angle, at the right space, with the right master or healing. What is the divine trying to say? Healing platforms. But if you don't bring you to take the baton and take it into you, if you don't bring your intention to heal and your energy to push it into the healing process, you're not going to be healed. You just keep doing it, but you have to bring you. This is what Jesus said when he was laying hands on his followers, and a follower came and said, "Heal me," and Jesus just became the vessel of all the energy, and that being that wanted to be healed took it in and said to Jesus, "Oh, I'm healed." And Jesus, or Yahshua, whichever way you want to say it, told them, "Go home, tell no one." Because individuals will take the opportunity to change your directive. And if you aren't ready to stand in your healing, you can surrender it to people who don't believe. No matter what the tools you are using, no matter what the meditation is, no matter what the positive words that you use, the positive phrases that you use, if you don't get anchored in it and take it on as yours, it will be fleeting. So no matter whether you're using a pyramid, or whether you're using all your chakras, or whether you're bumping up against the quantum, if you don't take it in as intention to heal, to become more, to go from one extreme to a balanced and not go to the other extreme, to center yourself in balance of healing, you will keep dealing with the same distortion. That's all Ra is saying. It's based on the person that wants to be healed. The baton is passed. You've seen those runners, right? Where they're running a relay race. And until that baton is taken in the other person's hand, they can't start running. Are you grabbing your baton and saying, I got this? Let it be so. Sometimes it's hard being around people who don't understand. Who they don't understand, but they got all the information that they're not using for themselves, but they're giving to you because they know a little bit more than you do. But if you take the time to actually actively listen and actively see, you get to see if what they're giving you is for your highest and greatest good. Back to you, Marcus.
Ooh, that was a good segment. What was that? What was that part about the crystals that you was speaking of? That was actually, I think, like the first, maybe second time we've heard about crystals in this study so far.
Okay, so it says, let's see. Okay. Hold on. Let's go back to this. Man, when the divine just when I'm reading through the divine, and it's like, hold on.
Thank you for
This is, yeah, I'm looking. I've read so much that it's here we go. The positioning of the entity to be healed is such that the life energy, if you will, are in a position to be briefly interrupted and intersected by light. The light then may take the comma, by the catalyst of the healer with the crystal, manipulate the aura forces, as you may call the various energy centers, in such a way that if the entity be healed, wills it so, correction may take place. Right?
So were they speaking on using crystals in our energy field to help with the rebalancing of our centers, basically?
Yes.
Wow.
But the intention is that we can use the crystals to rebalance. We can use the pyramids to rebalance, right? We can use these tools. We can use Hertz music to rebalance, all these tools. But if the person that we're using it for doesn't take it in, doesn't be proactive in the tools. It's perfect example. When every day I would go at 5 o'clock, and they would put the radiation instrument over me. And what I would do to transmute the energy that they're coming in. See, they've got a story already that they're using that with the energy of radiation. Somebody's already set up that story. But for me to alchemize it, because it's my choice to use it, I had to tell the energy that was coming from this magnificent machine what I wanted it to do and where I wanted to go. I had to start embodying that energy, that I wasn't going to take the story that they had or any stories that anybody had put on it about it being bad energy. I had to transmute that energy. I had to alchemize that energy, and I had to know where I wanted to go and how I wanted to go. I had to embody it, because nothing that technician would do could heal me. They could use the machine. They could put the energy there, and the energy plus whatever the side effects would be there. But I had to go alchemize it. I had to embody it. I couldn't say, well, that worked, my embodiment works for this, but it's not going to work for that. Either it's going to work for me being a higher being, with a higher sovereign being with the ability to embody me transforming all of my energy, or actually, if I only see it only working in one place, it's not really working anywhere else. I'm the embodiment of the energy of the tools that I'm using. I'm the embodiment. My friend gave me this. It's an ankh with all the karma, not the karma, but my chakras. She didn't know much about me. She just knew that I loved to utilize crystals and everything. And she said, I saw this and I was thinking of you.
Oh.
See it? And inside there's a pearl that's flipped around on this side. I said nothing to her about pearls. I've always loved pearls. Right? So the energy, the fact that I'm using all of this, the fact that I'm getting to know my power through my chakras, and grounding in Mother Earth, and grounding in my with my higher being. Whether you go, I'm bumping up against the quantum of everything. I have to embody that for everything to work. I'm the one that's healing myself. I mean, I may go to a person that does helps me do a dark night of the soul, or my doctors or my teams or whatnot. They're providing the instrument. I have to embody the instrument and tell it what I want it to do. I have to give it a command. All that instrument is energy. And all energy wants to do is serve us. And we get to tell it how we want it to serve us. I told that energy that I wanted to go into my breast. I wanted it to eliminate any cells that were distorted. Go ahead, eliminate them. And then I told my body, because I am thankful and grateful that all the healthy cells will regenerate. And I told the energy that anything that is not for my highest and greatest good, I give it permission. It has my permission to go back to the energy of the divine, to become whatever the divine wants it to become. I give it permission to leave. I only take what's going to get rid of the distortion of the cells. That's all Ra is saying. You can have every tool, you can have all the crystals, you can have the pyramids, you can have all of this, but if you don't embody yourself, if the vessel that you are providing for to heal doesn't take it in, It's going to do a portion of it, but if you're not healing, it's not the pyramid's fault. If you're not healing, it's not the doctor's fault. If you're not healing, it's not your guru's fault. It's not your plant medicine fault. If you want to have a fault, it's how much did you embody it?
Mm-hmm.
If you must put a fault on it, then you have to sit, and that's going to be an uncomfortable sit for you to say, "Oh, it was my fault. I didn't, think about that." Yeah, go ahead. You can listen to the doctor tell you you've got 6 months to live. But if you just accepted that based on his prerogative or his information, and you took that in and you said, "Oh, I got 6 months, I'm going to die." You can also say, "Well, I need to know why now. Let me go in. Let me ask myself an embodying question. I'm not dying yet. Let me go figure it out." That's his perspective based on all his book knowledge. Nothing for you to fight. You can spend fighting, or you can say, "What do I need to know about this moment? What do I need to know about what I can do to prolong my life?" That means you get to embody yourself. And that's anything. That's not just life or death. That's in learn, teach, learn. That's in your growth, in your expansion, in your story. Why are these people in my story? And why am I in theirs? Let me find the right crystals. Sometimes you need all of them, from crown all the way down. And you just need to figure, how can I figure out when I'm laying down how to put all the crystals there so they don't fall off me? That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Right? Because I think I need all of them. Because I've got so much energy that's anchoring. Sometimes my body feels, sometimes my head feels like it's going to explode with so much information. But the doctor might take that as you're having a migraine. You have to bring yourself to your center and figure out what energy chakra that you need to work in. Sometimes it's all of them. There's nothing wrong with that. Ra is saying, go ahead and ask why. When you're asking why, that's an embodiment question. Holy moly, Batman. You mean I have to bring me to my story? Right? Just saying.
Good stuff. Before we continue, I wanted to share a little bit with everybody out there, a little bit about, crystals and what they are on the conscious level. For anybody that, is already attracted to crystals, you may use them in your life already, or you may be interested, since they were mentioned by Ra. I just have this real brief slide that I'm going to share with you guys. This is actually my own presentation I made for my retreat over the weekend. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing because that would be a whole presentation. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a couple of slides that help you to understand a little bit more on a deeper level what crystals are and how they work with our energy field. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen share. Bear with me as well. We'll see how the internet does. All right. Okay. Looks like we're all good so far. Cool. All right, so Crystal Healing 101. This is my workshop that I have that I authentically made for crystal healing. So I'm gonna go over a little bit of the mental plane and the hermetics of what crystals are and where they reside when it comes to their spiritual and mental aspects. So as we know in the Kabbalion or the Hermetic principles, one of the Hermetic principles is the law of correspondence. The law of correspondence also then goes into, subcategories within that subject. And those subcategories are along the line of the different mental subplanes of existence. And some of those mental subplanes are, the mental mind of the human, the mental plane of animals, the mental plane of minerals, the mental plane of plants, the mental plane of elements such as electric, gas. So there's a mental plane of existence for everything that has form. In order for there to be a form, there has to be a mental existence of it. And that is why Hermetic principle number 1 is the all is mental. So within these mental planes, there's different, basically, quote unquote, like soul-like energies that you're interacting with as we mentally time travel and exchange. So for example, the animal plane, you're interacting with your dog or you're interacting with your cat. Your dog or cat has its own authentic mental plane of existence and energy connected to it. And then you as a human being have your own human mental plane of existence. So when you guys interact, you're energetically mingling your mental planes of existences with each other. So you get to sense and feel through the mind what it's like to be a dog and take in the energy, and vice versa. So it's the same with crystals. Crystals, they come into the mineral mind when it comes to these planes. And with that, they have little development in the third dimension, but they're also a living soul, quote unquote. They do have likes and dislikes, and they reside in a first dimensional awareness of self when it comes to being in this third dimension. So yes, they have a third dimensional body, which is the crystal, the gemstone. Just like we do as human beings, we have a physical body, but then they have a mental plane, which then connects spiritual energy to that physical body of the crystal, just as a human being or animal does. What does it mean by one-dimensional awareness of self? Basically, there's different levels of awareness that you have when it comes to the capabilities of your vehicle here on Earth. And crystals are in the first dimension when it comes to their vehicle usage. See this right here, this gemstone, this tower? This is the vehicle. This is the body of the crystal. Just like our human body, this is the vehicle for our higher self. This is the vehicle for this being's mental and spiritual self. So yes, there is consciousness within this that is living, interacting with you in every moment. And it does have the ability to like and dislike, or you can say take in or repel and reject. So this kind of ties in perfectly with what we were just speaking on, with the way that you're perceiving, the way you're interacting with things. So if you're just perceiving this as a regular old rock, then that's what you're going to experience it as. But if you perceive this from a level of conscious awareness, that this right here is not just a rock. This is also a spiritual being of source that has its own authentic form and conscious expression. Then you're choosing to connect and interact with the existence and opportunities of being in a conscious relationship with this gemstone. And then you get to metaphysically interact and mentally interact with the spiritual energy of that crystal to have a conscious collaboration with your energy. And then you can draw that into your chakras, your different centers, and help with rebalancing your aura, just like Ra was speaking on. So then I'll go ahead and move us into the physical part, which you kind of just briefly spoke on. And that is that crystals have bodies just like humans. The physical gemstone is the body. And then the compounds, the shape, the color, and more determine the unique blueprint that is encoded to provide its signature benefits and traits. And then the crystal has an electromagnetic field, as does all living forms, thus creating a vibratory field that radiates in all directions through the gemstone. So again, this is very easy to understand if we just go into comparison of our human self. So it's no different. Just like everything else duplicates the source in existence, it's going to be the same with crystals too. So just like us as human beings, the shape, the color, the in-depth details, when we were born, the time we were born, the way that the astrology was aligned while we were born, our life path number, the amount of pigment that we have, all these things are going to determine the signature benefits and traits that we carry as a human being. Same thing as crystals. Their shape, color, compounds, it all determines the way that its spiritual energy is going to be expressed and transferred into this third dimension. And then just like us, just like everything else, in order for something to have a form, it's got to have an electromagnetic field. And with that electromagnetic field, it's able to change, shift, and interact with other electromagnetic fields. So this is the power of crystals. When we place a crystal in a spot, its electromagnetic field now begins to sink into that area that you synchronized it into, and it begins to interact with the energy and electromagnetic field around it. And then you give it some time, give it conscious acknowledgement and trust in its abilities, and you will feel the benefits and be able to download more and more of the spiritual energy of that crystal. Then you can place it on your chakras directly, your meridians, areas of your home, really any area you can think of. There's no limit to where you can place the energy field of these crystals, because energy fields are energy fields. So wherever you place it, its energy field is coming with it, and then it's going to interact with that space. But of course, if you don't believe in it, if you're not open to it, and you don't want to be open to it, then it might be difficult for you to experience that and come to that actual experience and senses of what that is. So they also say give 10 to 15 minutes to fully integrate the energy field of the crystal in the area that you put it. And of course, you can still use them and they'll work for you. But if you want to maximize the benefit of it, they say 10 to 15 minutes. That's something I learned when I became crystal healing certified, my CHH. And then let's see, is there anything else? Providing care for crystals, using water. Make sure you research though, because not every crystal is good with water. Research about direct sunlight. And then you can also do Reiki, full moon, bowl of rice, as well as using other crystals to charge. And then, yes, I'll finish off with this since this ties in directly. So we have chakras and crystals. So these are some examples of crystals that you can use for each of the 7 chakras. So starting at the root, you have onyx, hematite, black tourmaline, red jasper, obsidian, jet, carnelian, shungite, and smoky quartz. And then sacral, you have pyrite, tiger's eye, citrine, sunstone, orange calcite, snowflake obsidian, unakite, moonstone, and bumblebee jasper. Solar plexus, you have brucite, yellow jasper, gold obsidian, golden healer, heart, rose quartz, jade, moldavite, emerald, rhodochrosite, and more. Throat chakra, you got sodalite, lapis lazuli, turquoise, labradorite, blue apatite. Third eye, terahertz. Terahertz is really good for psychic protection. So if you're trying to protect yourself in the ethers, the metaphysical energies from different type of things out here in existence, because you may be a little bit off balance and you could be attracting things, terahertz can help you with kind of resealing that for you. And then you have sugarlight, amethyst, and crown you have selenite, quartz, howlite, fluorite, and more. So I just wanted to share a little bit in depth with you guys about crystals and how you can consciously relate and connect with crystals in your everyday life for your well-being and overall living. Back to you.
I forgot to unmic myself. Your energy centers are so very important. They're your tools to create. To connect with the awness. And that's what the divine wanted me to use. The awness of the divine. The divine didn't make any mistakes on creating us. It knew exactly what it wanted to do and how it wanted us to get there, to be part of that doing, be part of that being, be part of that authenticness of the one true creator, seeking itself. The one true creator threw its energy out with intention, and with energy, it created itself in all that is and all that is not. The all one true creator made no mistake on you. There was nothing left to chance. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Because you certainly get to believe in any creation story you want to believe in, even if you don't want to believe in a creative story. Did you hear that? Even if you don't want to believe in a creative story, the divine says, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm still going to move through, in, and as you. You don't want to utilize your free will? I'm still going to move in, through, and as you. You are still going to have a journey, even if you're not aware of your consciousness of living in the body and only the mind. I still give you all the tools. Yes, I gave you the cheat sheet. I gave you the little books that give you the answers to the books that you read. A cheat sheet. It's okay. Just be you. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. But when you do, it'll always be there. I'll always be in you. I'll always be moving as you. Always be moving in tandem with you. The divine said, Sandee, you came in you answered a call. My higher being answered a call and chose a group of, what is it? Hold on a second. I want to say it correctly. I answered a clarion call because Earth called and said, I need you. I need to rev up my energy so I'll never be pulled down into third density again, because I want to shift. Oh, it's all I've ever wanted to do. That's all my intention has ever been. And then it made a clarion call, its third call for light workers. And Sandee, her higher being, answered the call. I answered the call of the light workers that were called the beacons of light. I was born 1957. The beacons of light answered the call between 1920 and 1960. I feel it in my bones whenever I read this in the divine design. I answered the call, and guess what? The beacons of light, we never had to have an awakening, ever an awakening moment. All we had to do is live in the consciousness of body and mind, and we got to escalate our light quotient for Earth consciousness and all of humanity. But then the divine said, but you changed the rules, Sandee. You wanted to awaken. You wanted to have a moment of clarity of where you came from. You did that, Sandee. You took your higher beingness and your I am intelligence and took it on a ride. You answered the call magnificently, and you're still answering the call. You're the one that decided that you wanted to merge modern medicine, which is only energy, with holistic medicine, which is only energy, and you brought the wholeness back in it. And I sat there and I was just in awe of the divine, saying, you embodied yourself. Good job. I see you as you. I see you as your authentic you. Doesn't mean I'm not going to make a mistake or have any distortions in my life. I've been living a whole lot of life as I've been having my awakening moments. And I'm not going to stop. Because when the divine created, the divine didn't stop creating. Even scientists would tell you they're bewildered and baffled at the fact that the universe is still creating itself. Some of those stars that they thought were dead are just being born. Yet they thought it was desolate and dead. It blew their mind that they got it kind of sort of distorted and wrong. But the divine says nothing is ever wrong. It's just the way you saw it. Now you see it a different way. So take what resonates for you. What's right for me doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. What's right for Marcus doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. We're just here to guide. We answered a clarion call. We answered a light worker call. We didn't come here to judge, though upon occasion, before we were open to becoming more practice or more grounded and rooted in our consciousnesses as we saw life, we started moving away from judgment into discernment. That's called learn, teach, and teach, learn, as Ra states it. Perfect, that's overrated. We didn't come here to be perfect. We just came here to be. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. We're at, what are we at? The 2-hour mark?
Pretty much.
The divine Ra says, I am Ra, all is well. You are conscientious. I now leave this working. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, then, rejoicing in the power and in the perfect peace of the one infinite creator, Adonai. I close this energy exchange with love and admiration for the one true creator that is you. Thank you so much for being a part of this 50th episode. Baduku ate sheshula ku utane tanayusha alemne etu anda I u ande I u ande I koto anda I patluka anda I sheshulaku an ushianate eshulaku o 10845 Ashe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Episode 51 next weekend, next Wednesday. I said next weekend. Next Wednesday, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard, 10. What is the divine trying to say here? 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is the divine trying to change the time? We're not ready. We're not ready to change the time yet. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you, Marcus, for being such a wonderful co-creator on this 50th episode. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. It's an honor, and thank you for being an equal co-creator in this space. And thank you to all of you that continue to tap in and join us, as you guys are also partial and equal co-creators with us as well in this space. The interactions make it, It's one thing for us to just sit up here and read a book, but it's another thing to be able to see, oh, wow, that sentence just sparked something in that person. And now they're expressing it through their typing to make sure that the universe and world knows how they were affected by that reading. That right there is everything. That's the goal for me, is to be able to just selflessly, no expectation, share the knowledge and wisdom coming through, for you to authentically have your own process with it, and then to be able to express that safely and freely with us, so then we can build upon that with you as a unified consciousness. It's quite a beautiful thing. I'm really grateful for it. Grateful for Ra, grateful for the source, grateful for all of us. And that does it for episode 50 of our 50th anniversary episode of Ascending Beyond Limitations, the Raw Material, Law of One book study.
Whew. That's all. Whew. You want to take that deep breath. Whew. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone, have a very wonderful and peaceful and creative Wednesday, no matter what timeline you are in. And I said timeline, right? Isn't it magnificent that we can bridge timelines? And I say bridge Marcus is 3 hours ahead of me. He's already in a future. Those that might have joined coming in off of Australia and UK, they're already in another future. Some of them are even a day ahead. Some of them are on Thursday. Holy moly, 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 moly. Right? So see you, same Ascending Beyond Limitation channel. Same Ascending Beyond Limitation time. See you next Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Wholeness, balanced love, and just remember your free will, and remember that you can always pull it back in. Wholeness and balanced love, everyone.
Selenite crystal, dragon blood sage, raw rising codes, said the master series, Yogananda. Great Master Yogananda, wise holder and teacher and student of the universal oneness. I surrender my being, distortions, wounds, and other imbalances to your wisdom and knowledge of enlightenment, so it may flow through my being through the radiant orange rays of light. May I be filled, rejuvenated, and blessed with the codes and etheric energy to reestablish my universal oneness within, so I may be feeling, sensing, and embodying the God within that I wish to see in the world. Einatu.